Howdy.
Rolling in, crypto cowboy. What's going on, my man?
Not much, man. I don't like rolling around right now. I hate this wheelchair.
What are you in a wheelchair for right now?
Well, I've got one and two broken, two broken feet.
How did that happen? We'll get into it right after a word from our sponsor. Today's sponsor is Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community for creatives where millions come together to take the next step in their creative journey. Skillshare offers thousands of inspiring classes for creatives and curious people alike on topics including illustration, design, photography, video, freelancing, and even cryptocurrency. As a content creator and cryptocurrency enthusiast, Skillshare offers me the tools to sharpen my videography skills with classes like Video on a Budget, Prepare for Your Shoot Without Breaking the Bank, and Accounting 101, Accounting Rules for Crypto and Bitcoin. It's curated specifically for learning, meaning there are no ads and they're always launching new premium classes so you can stay focused and follow wherever your creativity takes you. And it's less than $10 a month with an annual subscription. The first 1,000 of my subscribers to click the link in the description will get a free premium trial so you can explore your creativity.
I had the nice bright idea of jumping out of a tree on the river while I was for the 4th of July weekend while I was out kayaking down Spring River here in Arkansas. And
Oh, man.
little did I know that that tree was actually a rope swing tree. And I shouldn't have jumped. I wish there was a sign or something on it, but there was no rope up there, and it was just a nice little two by four ladder built all the way up the tree, and didn't hit the bottom or anything, didn't hit any rocks or anything like that. Just straight hit water, impact from the water alone. I fell from probably about 40 or 50 feet.
Oh,
Only
wow.
about 3 beers in. I had just cracked the third one and took a sip.
No bueno. Well, sorry to see that. Welcome to the show. And yeah, so welcome to the show, everybody else that's joining in too. Mr. Crypto Cowboy here is joining me. He had reached out regarding some NFTs that he is launching here soon, and we'll get more details from him on those in particular. I decided to take the opportunity to have him on the show and kind of get an idea of what NFTs are from somebody that's been deploying them, because it's not something that I have gotten into necessarily personally. It's one of those things that I'm interested in, but I need kind of to start getting my feet wet, excuse the pun there, but hopefully we can get that information from Mr. Crypto Cowboy here. So tell me a little bit. I know that, NFT stands for non-fungible token. Can you explain its use case and that sort of thing at a very basic level?
Yeah, I can definitely do that. Let me go ahead and start off with one thing real quick. My name was, as you would call it, it's not Crypto Cowboy, it's Cowboy Crypto.
Oh yeah, there we go. That's my bad.
I do know that there's at least one other person out there who has Cowboy Crypto, and I know as well that there's someone out there who has Crypto Cowboy. Cowboy Crypto, my version it comes with zeros, is all the O's, and that's really the only difference. Moving into NFTs here though, non-fungible tokens. I mean, as you said, it's kind of it's a situation where you can make something, and it really doesn't matter what it is. You can make something physical and tokenize it. You can make a digital art piece and tokenize it. You can make music and tokenize it. You can tokenize certain items in games. There's really all kinds of different uses to it. The major categories that I'm going to be covering today are going to be the gaming, the music, the general art pieces and collectibles, and finally the avatar NFTs, which they're kind of collectibles but kind of not.
Okay. And so what are examples of some platforms that people could look into if they wanted to get into it? What's the easiest way to get in, I suppose?
Me personally, I started off with Rarible. That was really kind of one of the easier ones to sign up if I wanted to be able to drop my own NFTs. That's where I first started off at. I haven't got very many on there currently. I've only actually I put one up and then I burned it off completely because I was like that was the very first like real NFT that I did and I wasn't really proud of it. The second one I do have yet, but I'm going to be burning it down to just a one of one, and I'm probably going to end up keeping it. That's on my on the Rarible profile, which is listed below in my on the screen setup here. It's the cowboy.crypto. That's my Rarible profile. I am going to be releasing some other ones on Rarible come in the future, but there are some other great platforms out there as well, other than Rarible. Theta is a really great one. Audius is a really great one as well. Engine, they're a really good one. I listed those three right off the bat because they kind of cover different areas. Theta is more or less they cover all of it. They like to cover the gaming, they like to cover the just collectibles and art pieces, and they also like to cover the what was it, the music. Although they haven't actually, if I'm not mistaken, gotten to actually listing music yet. Another platform as well, and the last one, and it's one that I use personally as well, is Wax. Those are some really, really great platforms. Those are the ones that I'd like to cover today. Now, that's not to say that there aren't other platforms. There are tons of them out there. Some really other, like I'll name just one right off the top of my head that's would probably be really good to invest in if you want to try and move towards just picking up their tokens, would be Eureka. Now, if I'm not mistaken, they don't actually have an open marketplace as of yet. And if I'm not mistaken as well, Engine doesn't have their own marketplace, but they do list on OpenSea. Okay. OpenSea is another platform as well that won't be covering today.
So I'm curious, are there things to look out for when you're looking at platforms? I know there's been some talk around centralization of these types of things that could be dangerous. And then in addition to that, my understanding is there are still some questions around the hosting or the actual hosting of the digitalized asset, right? And how basically, however it's tokenized, how it's interpreted. I know there's solutions like IPFS, stuff like that to look into. Are there particular things like that you want to make sure the platform has or is utilizing before moving forward with it?
That really depends on kind of what you're messing with. When it comes towards the actual art itself, like if you're going to create say just one generalized art piece, at that point you might not necessarily want to worry about IPFS or really even whether something's decentralized or centralized or not, because at that point it's going to be centralized to you. There are certain things like I mess with IPFS with what's it called? Unstoppable Domains, which is where my website is listed at. It's cowboy.crypto. The O in crypto is not a zero there. I do use them. Now I'll be 100% honest with you. I'm not like super educated about the IPFS side of things, but I do know like Rarible. They're a like super centralized platform. Everything is hosted directly through them. Because of that, they've also been hacked in the past. Now that was years and years and years ago that happened. I'm not sure if that's something that's actually, well, I wouldn't say viable or capable. I'm sure it's capable at some level. It's just a matter of finding it. But pretty much any kind of blockchain can be that way if it's centralized.
Well, because so my understanding, the worry would be that if the platform goes away, the NFT goes away, whatever
Yeah.
NFTs were on that platform. Are you aware of a way around that, or is there anything off the top of your head that that would prevent that, like a service or some type of way of deploying the
Yeah.
NFT that avoids that?
Just thinking off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure that's something that actually Rarible has implemented to stop that kind of hacking. The reason why I say that is because I can list. I access Rarible through my MetaMask wallet, and it basically signs everything to my MetaMask wallet, and I can, as long as my Ethereum address is plugged into another DeFi wallet, then I can actually access my NFTs through that DeFi wallet separately. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I want to say that Wax is also, they have also implemented something like that. They've got multiple marketplaces. Engine is the same way. They've got multiple marketplaces, so you would be able to access your stuff. Basically, if their platform goes down, you can still access it through other platforms because it's linked to your. I'm not sure if I won't go out on the limb and say that that Wax themselves works with an ERC20, but I do know that Engine does. I want to say that Wax works with the ERC20 tokens, and as long as it works with that, then you should be able to move it from one platform to the next and not have really any issues at all.
Because the goal should be that, and I guess that's one thing with NFTs that I've been trying to figure out for a while, is where the actual digital asset is hosted. So even if you have it, so it's good that they have basically the tokenized asset within a wallet that you control the private keys to. That's good, right? But how does that, so I guess the problem that I've always heard of was like, how does that connect to, or where is the digital asset itself stored? So you have the record of your ownership to that digital asset within a wallet that you control the keys to, but the digital asset still has to be hosted somewhere, right? And so what happens when that hosting goes away, essentially, is kind of one of the problems that I haven't really been able to figure out personally. So I didn't know if you had any thoughts on that.
Now, okay, with I keep going back to Rarible because that's where I have the most experience with.
Yeah.
If Rarible themselves went down, like if that whole platform itself went down, everything is stored on the Ethereum blockchain. Like you don't, it's not something that's stored on a localized like hard drive somewhere. It's definitely, it's all stored on the Ethereum blockchain. So like if Rarible goes away, your stuff is still there. Like you don't have to worry about losing it. Now, if I'm not mistaken, there are platforms out there. Like I would have to check into Theta to know whether or not you can whether they have that kind of setup. I would say pretty much any kind of ERC20 token, it's very likely that's all going to be stored on the blockchain.
Right, but doesn't the storing of the asset, so if it's a digital art piece, right, that requires a certain amount of data to store. So that whole entire piece.
To even mint, like if you want to create like if I want to create an NFT, then for me to like mint it before I even tokenize it, before I like back it with tokens and everything, for me to mint it, I have to basically give up a certain amount of Ethereum for me to be able to store it on the blockchain. And that's like the base, like it's the gas cost essentially is what it is, but it's putting it on the blockchain.
So the actual like megabytes for the file is stored on the blockchain?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Okay, because my understanding was that's not always the case.
No, I wouldn't say that it's always the case.
But that would be something to look out for then, right?
For sure. I would, and if I'm not mistaken, that would be something I would need to look in for both Theta and Audius. I'm not sure if they store those on the blockchain or if they store those, like the actual assets themselves get stored somewhere else, like a storage server essentially.
Right, and that's kind of the question that I have is like if it's too large of an item to store like on the blockchain itself and it needs some sort of hosting platform where there's a server hosting it, then what happens when that hosting service goes away, which would be my concern, right? Because
Yeah.
at that point, then it's like, well, the whole blockchain portion of it, the NFT portion, well, that's cool, but it doesn't really matter. Like if you don't have access to whatever that item was. So are there, I mean, because I know we were going to talk about different types of NFTs, and I assume that would govern part of it, right? So if we're talking about a video game, for example, more than likely the host would be the video game, right? They would have their game servers, whether that's like, we'll take World of Warcraft, for example, right? They have their servers that the game is running on, and then they would take an item, whether like let's say that's a piece of gear or something within the game, and tokenize that, and the record of the ownership would be on the blockchain, but the actual asset itself would be stored on the game servers, right?
hmm That okay. So like, let's move towards engine with that one.
Okay.
I do know that because it's just how I like with the engine, all of it's stored on the Ethereum blockchain. And like all of those assets are stored directly on the blockchain itself. And that's what allows you to be able to move it over onto OpenSea. Like Engine does not have their own currently open marketplace, but you can, if you have like if you host your own game, or if you host if you host your own video game, like Lost Relics is one of the video games that they have currently, or if you host like a trading card game through it, that's something that's still stored on the blockchain. When that item is found, it's minted immediately, like onto the blockchain, and you sell it whenever you like. If you want to sell an item from Lost Relic, you have to go to an open marketplace somewhere and then sell it there. Uh,
But wouldn't the, so I guess maybe that's where I still have some confusion, because I don't know how you would store all of the data for a game on the blockchain. I don't think that's even physically possible, is it?
I don't see why not. I mean, you can store all kinds of data. All it is a one and a zero. I mean, it's just data. You're not you the actual the art asset in Lost Relics is probably not that itself is probably not stored on the blockchain. That would be stored in the in-game servers, yes. But the like when it does a call to figure out like yeah, well, you might have a container like I yeah, you might have a container in the end game itself that like, all right, it's already done the call and it's stored all the information here, and then that information, to prevent from having to waste more gas money or waste more gas to just do another call on that one little item every time that it's used, it's already stored in a container. But at the same time, like if that's the way it is, and I'm not going to say it is. It probably depends on the game itself. But if that container is used, then which is the item itself in game, then like it automatically knows what's there because it's already got all the information inside that container, and there you go. But like let's say if you want to. One of the ideas the engine has is that you can actually they're wanting to process it to where you can move items from one game to another. So let's say that they actually finally make that happen, to where you found an item in Lost Relic and you want to move it over to Six Dragons, which is another game that they have. If you want to do that and they finally implemented the process, that's where you would have a container of the item in game in Lost Relics. You would post the blockchain version of it on one of the marketplaces somewhere, and then it would basically retag on the blockchain once it's sold and moved over to the Six Dragons game. Once it's moved over there, then it's immediately retagged. Now, the next time that you go in, because you listed that item for sale on the marketplace from Lost Relics, it's automatically going to know to go back in and check to see whether it's been sold or not or whatever. And the moment that it is, it's not going to allow you to access that anymore. Now, you can, I say sell it, you can do a transfer between your own accounts. And if it's, as long as it's transferred from one game to the other, it's probably got some kind of, not necessarily a marketplace, but some kind of secondary storage for that container.
Yeah, so I looked up on, it's engine.io, right? ENGI.
Yes.
Yeah. If you look at like setting up your metadata or whatever, it does say like your token URL will be customized and point towards the engine servers. So when you upload, you're actually uploading to the engine servers. And so whatever that asset is stored on
that's the container.
Right. So there still has to be almost like a centralized server right now for NFTs, as far as I understand, until somebody figures out how to start storing large amounts of data on the blockchain, or at least that's my understanding, right? So, because you need that for like the GIFs and the MB4s and whatever else, right? Okay. So that's kind of what I wanted clarification on. Because I was a little confused as far as like that goes or how that interacts. But then the actual portion that says, like once you've minted it, and the portion that says I own this, that's stored within like your private key owned wallet or whatever, right?
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
Okay. Here would be like if they have this item, and now this item, they're not going to store all the attributes and the GIF or the JPEG or PNG or whatever you want to call it, whatever item it is in Lost Relics. They're not going to store all that information on the blockchain. They're going to store that on their server.
Right.
Now, what they will store on the blockchain is the fact that that item exists. Like,
right. Yeah.
Here's the name of the item.
So then the biggest worry I have for NFTs, right, is when those platforms, if they go away, right? Like, so if the engine servers shut down and you don't have access to that anymore, sure, you still have the record of the ownership of it, but is there ever any way to reattach that somehow on a new server?
Not without them actually going in and re-implementing a new container for it, essentially.
Okay. All right. So, I mean, like, that would be my biggest concern. But, I mean, not to say that, like, take anything away from NFTs because they're very exciting. It's just one of those things that I've been trying to kind of work out in my head that I thought maybe you could help me out with. And so I think I understand how that works now. And then I know, so that was really covers like the games and stuff like that. And there are different styles, like you can do art pieces, you were talking about music, that sort of thing. And these are all different. Are they typically different platforms? I know you said some are starting to add multiple, I guess, styles of NFTs.
Yes, definitely. Like you can get, there are collectibles, the avatar NFTs, which they're kind of collectibles, but they're not. I mean, a collectible to me would be like one of 1,000 or something, and versus an avatar NFT is always going to be a one of one.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. And then okay. So I guess the problem of it being stored on a server would be the same problem if it was a physical item, right? So a physical item that you tokenize or whatever, if you can't track down that physical item, that kind of poses a problem as well. Did those typically get shipped to you? Like if you bought like a physical item as an NFT, did those typically get shipped or mailed to you somehow, or
I
How's that
have not
handled?
actually encountered like, well, okay, I take that back. I've encountered the offer for a physical item, and I like the one NFT that I have listed right now has an offer of a physical item, but once the content is unlocked, once you've bought it and unlocked the content, it immediately tells you, hey, go to me, contact this address, send all your information to me so I can get you the physical item.
Okay.
And as far as I know, there is no, well, I'm sure that there is probably a way on one of the platforms, but I've not discovered like an automated method to like, all right, once you buy this NFT, then this physical item is going to get shipped directly to you.
Okay.
I've not come across that yet.
And
And
then I didn't understand what is the how does burned items and all that work necessarily? Can you explain like what that means? I know you had mentioned it in the Twitter conversation we had. So you have um,
now
like you.
there's kind of there's multiple ways to look at it. Like right now, I'll use myself as an example, and then I'll use BitBoy Crypto as an example because I have one of his NFTs, one of his Bit Mobiles. The my version is that I have a 100 of 100 NFT out right now that I will be burning come, well, when this video is released, it will be the day that I will actually go in and burn it down to one of one, and I'll remove it from being sold. Now, a lot of platforms will allow the creator to either set a time or allow them to come in and burn the asset themselves.
Okay.
Oh, now a lot of like BitBoy Crypto with the BitMobile. If I'm not mistaken, they set an infinite amount of BitMobiles, or if it wasn't an infinite amount, it was an extremely high amount of BitMobiles that could be sold. But after a certain period of time, after 24 hours had passed, then you weren't able to go back in and buy anymore, and that's because whatever remainder of them there were burnt off. You can't buy them. Now,
Okay.
if there was like I do remember he listed some punks a little while back, and I wasn't able to unfortunately get a hold of any, even though I wanted the Staker one really bad, and I will probably end up going back and buying that one. But they had say 35 of 35. If not all 35 of them were bought within that 24-hour period, the remainder burnt, and
Okay.
they're just gone. Now you can burn your own, like once you've bought the NFT, you can burn the NFT, which kind of sounds like a really dumb idea, and unless you're someone who has a lot of
If you bought multiple and wanted to
yeah,
increase the price on the one that
yeah.
you keep or whatever, something
If
along
there's
those
20 of
lines.
them out there and you own 10 of them and you burn 9 of them down to one, you've raised the price on that dramatically.
Right, by decreasing the supply. That's interesting. So where do you think NFTs head in the future as far as for artists? That could be, anything from, uh, I suppose, performance arts all the way to, I guess, I don't know the term, but, drawings or whatever else, traditional art, whatever that would be called. What do you think that they will serve a purpose in the future?
Yes,
Okay.
most definitely. I the reason why I say that is like the blockchain is acting like today. If you go out and you buy a collectible T-shirt somewhere, and you want to know that that's the real thing, what do you get with it? You get a certificate of authentication.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I can host, or I can go out there and I can mint, not host, but I can go out there and I can mint my own NFTs, like I'm going to be doing, and I'll have my plug listed through my Twitter account as to where those are listed at, and they'll be on, obviously they'll be on Rarible, but when when I list them, someone can go on, open up the NFT, do like a video record, OBS record, or do a screenshot if it's not like an animated thing, and then they can just basically steal it. Like there's nothing I can do to stop them.
Right.
But there are some websites out there who like prevent you from doing like the right click and save as and all that stuff. But there's nothing stopping you from recording it if you want to like do it that way. But that version of it doesn't have that certificate of authentication.
Right.
If you want to make sure that you have that real Mona Lisa, which let me move to one of the platforms that I haven't discussed about so far, Crypto.com. The Crypto.com app, Snoop Dogg, he was one of the very first artists to list an NFT through Crypto.com. Well, owning the very first song ever listed on Crypto.com, produced by Snoop Dogg, like you have a certificate of authentication of that art piece. Once Snoop passes, and Lord forbid it's anytime here soon, I hope the man lives till he's 150, 160 years old, but once he does, like there's no way to verify it other than having that certificate of authentication, which is going to be listed through, it's essentially, that's what tokenizing it is right. Listing that, giving it that certificate. That you're going to have, anybody who has his Diamond Joint song is going to have, like, they're going to have the next Mona Lisa, essentially, or the next male Mona Lisa. And it, like, yeah, sure, anybody can go out there and make a copy of it. They can do a recording of it. But if you want one of the real versions, then you're going to have that token, that certificate to back it. Got
it. Okay. I mean, that makes sense. So give us all the plugs. We do got to wrap it up here. So okay. Plug all your information, the content. I know you and I are in the talks of working on an NFT for Son of a Tech together. So I'm excited about that. Yeah, where can everybody find you? The
obviously, easiest place currently would definitely be through the two plugged or the two websites that are plugged below, which is Twitter and Rarible. You can find me at crypto underscore, or no, not crypto. you have
I messed you up.
I'm doing it backwards. You can find me at cowboy underscore crypto, all of the O's as zeros on Twitter, and you can find me on Rarible at cowboy.crypto with all of the O's as zeros. And on the 30th of July, which will be the day that this is released, I'm going to be doing the actual release of my Elon Musk pieces at 1 p.m. All 10 pieces will be available. 5 of them will be trolling him. 5 of them will be in positive light. I want to make sure to offer to both sides of the community.
Perfect. Awesome. So everybody check it out. I will make sure everything is linked in the description below for you guys to check out Mr. Cowboy Crypto. Apologies for getting that backwards. I have been accused of dyslexia. It may be accurate. I don't know. I think I just make mistakes, but hopefully we'll get that corrected. And thanks for coming on, and we'll see you next time. Definitely want to keep working together. All right?
Sounds good.
All right. I'll see you guys next Tuesday. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe to see more. Also, you can check out this playlist for more content talking about cryptocurrency.